Just thanks for the nudge about getting on to the trainings.
Oh, the notes
Yeah,
about getting into the trainings? What do you
thanks
mean?
for the nudge. Yeah,
Oh, the nudge. Oh, the coursework
yeah.
in the club. Yeah, amazing. Good. Yeah, I'm glad that that's working for you. What is your takeaway, Gary? Oh, you're muted. Mary, I'm glad you're here. We don't get to see you live often. We made it into your schedule. I love it. Gary, what did you learn? Hi, everybody on YouTube. We see you. We see you live with us. Hi, hi. Gary, you want to share? You're still muted. You're still muted. I'd love to hear you, Gary, but you're muted.
Sorry, sorry. What I was saying is thanks for the nudge to get started on it. So
Great.
yeah, I'm scheduling the time in. That's it.
Fantastic. And what are your takeaways? Do you have any hot takeaways?
My takeaway is I got to get started.
Okay, okay, good. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I see you guys here live with us on YouTube. We just came out of a very lively, high celebration backstage moment where we learned some client practitioner wins, which is very exciting. So thanks for waiting for us while we got all of us together live. We do see you here in the chat. Please feel free to connect with us here on the chat. Those of us who are here in the club seats are in the club, and we are at a new start of a new month, which means new coursework just dropped. And that's also part of what we were talking about. We're talking about the mastery practitioners and their wins with their clients. And also, we have new coursework that just landed, which we are going to talk about here today on Tuesday training. We're going to get into functional movement, facilitating functional movement, which really doesn't just apply to movement practitioners. It applies to all of us, right? We all have clients that are putting their clothes on every morning. So they're moving. They have got to go out into all kinds of joint actions and make things happen. So any one of us, movement or manual practitioners alike, are going to get some good gold from today's training and through the rest of the month, because that is our focus for the rest of the month, facilitating movement and getting to the deep roots of what we get to focus on as manual and movement practitioners. We're going to talk today about joint action, when to use joint action, how to ID it, what visual assessment tells us, why the lever system is important for all of that. That might sound like we've already covered some of that. We're going to look at it from a slightly different lens today because every time you turn the diamond, it shines in a new way. We're also going to talk about shoulder actions today. And there were some questions that came up backstage about shoulder questions and quiz questions in our coursework. The new course for the month just dropped in the club this weekend, and we have 30 days to get through that course, which is Inspired Band Anatomy Level 2. It's designed for practitioners who've been at the game for a while and are now like, okay, I've been at it. I know what I know, and there may be some gaps in what I know, and I've got some tricky situations here, and what do I do about it? So that's the coursework for the month. If you guys have not joined us yet in the club and that sounds like the course for you, you have access to the entire course for the whole month. Please do join us there. It is available to all club members. It's part of their club membership for the whole month, and then we roll out a new course at the beginning of next month. So we're here at the start of a new, shiny new month. I also have a special surprise for you guys beginning of August here, as we are in this hemisphere, the dog days of summer. Traditionally, doesn't have to be, but traditionally, this time of year, our practices, private practices, get a little slower while people vacation and their schedule shifts a little bit. Traditionally, doesn't have to. Studios who have group classes, the classes are a little bit smaller while the same people are either outside now instead of inside in the studio, or they are also traveling with their family and what have you. So this time of year gets a little bit, some practitioners get a little anxious about that. Don't do that. It's not necessary. However, what is a very good practice that I've done for years and years and years this time of year is to really dive deep into what's next for you because you have the extra space in your calendar. So why not dive in, get what you need, and then come back out fresh at the start of the next month, which is September. And it's usually the first week or two of September that folks are still figuring out their schedules. But then we're right back into busy season, if you will. So, for those of us who are looking to create space or looking to create value in the space that we have in this month, we have, for the first time, I'm opening up next level training for everybody. You guys are the first to hear about it. It's going to be in an email that goes out to everybody later today. But those of you who are here with me on Tuesday training right now, you get to hear about it first. I will drop the link here in the chat. and then everybody else is going to get it in an email. If you're not here live and you're not on our email, let me know that so we can get that to you. What's next level? First of all, next level is not group training. Group level is not a recorded class. Group level, or next level, excuse me, is not a recorded class. It's not academy work. It's nothing that we have in the club. Next level is one-on-one with you and me for 2 half-day sessions to get you from where you are to the next level. And I mean that. I mean that. Whatever that is for you. So we all show up at different places. We all show up with different skills, different knowledge, different places in our training. And the idea is that we customize it. So if you are like, I don't want to study with you for a year, Gina, I'm busy, I got other things. Great. Well, then let's just dive in, shall we? One-on-one. You don't have to wait for the whole year to roll out. If you have been with me for a year or more and you're like, I just want a little bit more, I'm chomping at the bit, I got to get going, that's also a perfect use for it. What do we do in next level? We do client work. We synthesize the skills and techniques that you already have. We customize your training to be where you're at and where you want to go. And it is intense because I'm going to get you somewhere. So if you're not for intense and you want to just talk, don't come. That won't work for you. But if you're like, yeah, let's hot seat. And I know you've got me with velvet gloves and we're also going to get ourselves to the other side. I might break a sweat, but we'll get there. Then this is exactly for you. I've never opened this up to folks outside of my mastery practitioners before, but I think this is a perfect time to do that. And I want to be in generosity in this way. However, because of the length of time that I invest, I only have 6 spots. I know that sounds like I'm marketing you. I'm not. I'm telling you, I only have that much time over the next 60 days. So if this feels like yes, then take advantage and let's get you on the calendar. When would that be? When it works for your schedule. I'm literally bending my calendar to make room for you because I also have the same August that you have. So let's get that to happen and let's just go with it. Again, I'll drop the link here for you guys who are here with me in the club seats. And I will also, again, you guys will see it in your email later today. And I'm expecting that that will happen pretty quickly. And if you guys have any questions, you can certainly let me know. Super generous. Oh, you're welcome, Eileen. I love it. I know a couple of you have done next level with me. So if you already have, then you're still eligible. This could just be your next level. And if you have anything you want to share about that, you're welcome to, and it's not necessary all at the same time. Are we ready for today? We ready for today? Okay. Facilitating movement. Here's what we're going to cover real quick. Like, as I said, joint action. When to identify the joint action. How do you identify the joint action? Can you visually identify the joint action? And what to do about the muscles in the lever system that are also in the way or in process of being utilized. That's kind of important because when our clients come to us and they're uncomfortable, it's not because they're uncomfortable by laying on our massage table or shavasana in yoga. They're uncomfortable because of how they moved or how they didn't move. So again, whether you're a movement or manual practitioner, this content really matters. And I think there's different value for manual and movement practitioners at the start of this information, as well as what you would do to implement it in equal measure. If you're a manual practitioner, what you want to do, what I did for myself and what I want for you as well, is I want you to start observing every single movement that you see happening from the moment you put your eyes on your client. That could be as soon as they park their car and are headed towards your space if you can see out the window. If you live in a city like New York where they're not parking their car, I would like to hang out at the door and watch them walk down the hallway out of the elevator and see what their gait stride looked like. When I worked in an orthopedic office many moons ago, I would peek out the little viewer window while they were waiting in the waiting area, and I would observe how they were sitting because they had been there for a couple minutes seated, and then how did they slump in their chair. So if you're a manual practitioner and you're not doing movement with your people, you can glean a lot of information about the state of affairs in their body by observing every move they make. And if you're out in the wild, like in grocery store lines and bank lines, I can't tell you how many people I've taken a picture of from the neck down while standing behind them. Don't ever take a picture of someone's face. It's rude. Don't do it. You're not the paparazzi. And even if you were, you shouldn't do that. I digress. I've taken pictures of folks because I'm like, I know I can't approach this person while they're in front of me at the bank, and I deeply want to support them. So the best I can do is turn this into a teaching moment and capture this image and share it with my practitioners so they can go see this in their clients that they serve. So again, your visual assessment and everything you see people doing while they're moving around, even if you're not the movement provider, Super important. Definitely, if you're the movement provider, and we talked about this last week, there is muscle memory. If you are very actively working with people in movement and you see them week after week after week and they are committed to you, thank hallelujah, they are in your hands and they have a habit of how they move, doing the thing that you've always asked them to do, and you have a habit of seeing it that way. So my invitation is to break that habit, see it with fresh eyes and teach it with fresh words. Even if it feels like you're stumbling on your own tongue and they are confused by what you're saying, it's worth it to shake up the apple cart because the brain moves through neuroplasticity. And if it's plastic and it's memorized and it's working for you and them, amazing. If it's less than optimal and it's memorized, not awesome. So you want to shake up the apple cart and change it up a little bit, shape it up, shift it up, switch up your language, find a new way to explain it and a new way to see it, and maybe a new way for them to do it. So for habitual practices, you're like arms up yoga, arms up overhead, step back with your right leg. There's a reason we do it that way. It's meaningful. I'm not saying that's to be changed. But if you've been teaching it that way to the same group of people for 6 classes, maybe today it's not take your arms up. Maybe it's step forward with your left and see what that does, right? It shapes up, shakes up the shape that their brain has made in how to get to said form. Okay, does this make sense to you guys? Yeah. So facilitating movement means facilitating what you see, what you observe, what's supposed to be there, what's not supposed to be there, how you deliver it, and then the actual movement. So it's really not about just being a movement practitioner and teaching a better workout class. There's so much more to it than that. Always from the lens of how do we mitigate pain and then rehab someone so they are no longer in pain and then give them the skill to prevent it from ever returning. That is possible. It's not a rule that we get to a quote certain age. Like if I hear that one more time, no, guys, no. I just listened to a training over the week. You guys know I train all the time. I just listened to a training over the weekend and a doctor was saying muscles don't have an age. They're not ageist. Mitochondria change based on how you treat them, and the mitochondria fuel the muscle, but the muscle itself doesn't age. So all of this marketing about sarcopenia and muscle loss and hormone changes okay, and muscles don't age. So what are we doing? Are we buying the hype or are we treating the muscles differently now? Have we shaken up our own habit of how we do things as we are here on the planet longer? Or are we just buying into the fact that this is just at quote at this age? Stop that. There's no rule that says it's mandatory that we have to be in pain at a certain age and that we must navigate a certain low level of pain at a certain age. Nowhere does it say that. Here's how I believe that to be true. We've said this 1,000 times a week. The body's designed like this without muscles. When he's designed like this and the muscles go on top to hold this design, there's no pain. This shape doesn't change, nor do the muscles that attach to it to hold the shape. I'm slamming Murph around. Nor do the muscles that are attached to this structure change. They don't like one by one backstage left and exit. That's not happening, guys. This doesn't have to be that way. Are there considerations? Yes. Don't come at me about hydration and joints and all that. Like, I get it. I'm talking about muscles. Muscles move bone. If we're facilitating movement, there is a part of that movement that doesn't change, but our attitude towards it changes. We get fixed into a belief. That's what I'm trying to shake up the can here about. You get fixed in the way of seeing something, you get fixed in the way of saying it, you get fixed in a belief about what may or may not be true, and that's the limitation. What if we weren't fixed? What if we were just open to new? What would you create then? Okay, so Lori, I see you thinking a lot. What's going
Girl,
on?
I'm totally thinking, I'm like, how am I teaching my classes? Like there, part of me is like, I'm, yeah, you shook up my apple cart. Because part
Good.
of me is like, you speak to the nervous system and the repetitiveness of language and how it lands.
Mhm.
And then you invited to, what if you worded a different way? What if I had them step forward instead of step back? And I'm just like, and that's where my brain is going around a little bit. Yeah. So, okay, step one, it starts with me. I get to get on board with that before I start to teach it, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
The one is us. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, notice what came like, so yes, I came in to shake the apple cart. Love that.
Mhm.
Notice what that felt like for you. Partly, I'm going to guess, right? And you tell me, I don't want to assume. I'm guessing it could have felt partly exhilarating, partly frustrating, partly nerve-wracking, partly like you only heard some things and then kind of got stuck on what the thing was that you heard and didn't hear what came next. If and did any of that happen for you guys that are here? Any one of those experiences? Do you feel apple cart shooketh? No? Did I get it wrong? Go
I
ahead.
did.
Okay, you did. Okay. Anybody else? You could just raise your hand. Did you feel any of those things that I just mentioned? I'm bringing it up for client purposes. That's why I'm asking. Debbie?
Yes, but a validation, so to speak. So I have a very expensive in-body that measures skeletal muscle mass. And one of the things that's been perplexing me is that my clients that are moving with me, I don't see sarcopenia. I don't see a loss of muscle tissue. And so it's that I'm coming up against like what you said in the industry, and I don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeing there is a study, Dr. Vonda Wright brought up that they're not seeing degradation of tissue until way into the mid 70s, where we're
Right.
telling people after 50 it's over.
I've heard after 35. I mean,
yeah, and it's not. So what you're saying is helping validate what I've been seeing, but yeah,
okay.
that's not what I'm hearing in the industry. So thank you.
Beautiful. I love it. Yep. And also guys, like I just quoted a doctor too, right? Research is always pointed towards the answer they're looking for. That doesn't make it wrong. It doesn't make it faulty. It's pointed. And so cool. That's the idea of like point in on a detail and then zoom out at the big picture and then point in at the detail and zoom out at the big picture. Always do both. That's the body. That's following the design down to the cellular level, back out into the organs and the organ system. Eileen, you have something to add? I can tell.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I love it.
I have one of my classes is this, I'm going to call it a senior class. I have people that are over 85 in that class, and my kids refer to them as your strong ladies. And each of these women that I've been working with for 10 years are super strong. They don't have muscle loss or any of these issues. And they say to their friends, why don't you move? Why? I mean, we do this class and we're super strong. I mean, I'm not saying it because of my class, but so you're validating for me as well. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Good. And you absolutely get to say it's because of your class. It is because of your class. They are your students. They come to your class and they have generated strength under your direction. Yes, it's you. You are partnering with them. You get to say that for sure. Okay. So, Anna, were you going to add? I couldn't quite tell. It looked like yes, and then maybe you changed your mind. Go for it.
So I teach functional movement, and did what you say shake up my apple cart? No, because every single class, there are different students in my class, or they are different on that day. So I really cue my teaching to, who's in front of me and what I see. So so it's always different. The same thing is always different simply because of who's in front of me and me responding to who's in front of me and how they're moving.
Beautiful. Great. So you're keeping yourself fresh and your students are not repeating with the same regularity as other classes where they might be the same things over and over again. And there's no good or bad about it. It's just.
Yeah. And some of them are repeating. I mean, some of them have come every single week for a year and a half, but my class is different every week, right? Depending on what we're going to focus on, depending on, we could be focusing on how we sit or how we stand or how we walk or how our hips are going to move us. So, and what muscles move our hips. So it's just always different. So, which is a little bit, I think, problematic, only from the point of view that I've noticed in the yoga studio, the classes that get the most students are the ones where it's a repetitive yoga class where the students get to come in and zone out and they know what to expect. And I found the same thing at the Rome studio. The functional movement classes have less enrollment because they have to think.
Yeah.
They actually have to think. It's not a slide. So there's the plus and minus of that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, and ideally, as a high-level practitioner, you would enroll your students in the benefit of both, so that it isn't an either or. It's not a this or that. It's you need both. And here's what we're about to say. And Eileen, I'm going to come back to your comment in 1 second. Here's what I want to say about that. There is absolute benefit to the parasympathetic nervous system to have it already memorized. No talking, no thinking, just flow. 100%. There's embodiment. You literally stop thinking. Hello, turn off the light switch, curtain comes down. Let's get into another part of our essence and our being. Huge benefit. My God, more of us need that more often than we probably provide. And equally, when that movement is being repeated without consideration and awareness, it's only helpful to the physical apparatus if it's optimal movement that has also accounted for any current situation that might have changed your body's compensatory patterns, right? So I know how to do downward dog. Of course, I know how to do downward dog. I'm currently navigating the rehab on my own injury. Do I think that my downward dog is different than the last 40 years of doing downward dog? I would be foolish to think not. But if I wasn't aware of that as a student, and I was like, okay, I hurt myself, I'm going to go back to yoga, that's where I feel good, or back to Pilates, or back to the gym, or back to whatever, then you're going to go back and do downward dog. You think the way you've always done it, but your body's parts are not available to do it the way you've always done it. There is a compensatory pattern. And when you do that over and over and over and over again, now you are setting yourself up for an injury because you're not using the body the way it's designed. And that's what leads to pain every time. And if there wasn't an injury involved, if your students are like, nope, never injured, I'm one of the lucky ones, knock wood, I got it, cool. That means that every pattern, every joint action, every lever needs to be optimal for them to also not generate their own compensatory patterns, which would then lead to their own injury, which they would not be symptomatic of for quite some time. So we still, as the practitioner, as the provider, get to see that and know that and then speak to it. There's always benefit to both. If I'm going up a flight of stairs incorrectly, how many of you ever went to school, that mastery, not shots method practitioners, but how many of you ever learned in school how to walk up a flight of stairs? School, outside of your house. How many of you learned how to walk up? Right. None of us did. You know how we did it? By just trying. And our parents were like, good, they didn't fall. Awesome. We don't have any knowledge as a non-body worker on the weight distribution on the feet versus the architecture and how they're designed, the ligaments that cross the knee, the posterior chain, what joint action is actually supposed to be happening, and whether those muscles are actually fully firing, because most of us still walk upstairs with knee flexion. Why wouldn't we? The steps aren't that far apart. So we're missing the lever. Just walking up a flight of stairs. I'm not even picking on a yoga class right now, right? So if I'm not walking up the stairs from day one optimally, using my body the way it's optimally designed, that only helps me to know how to walk up a flight of stairs for part of my life. It doesn't actually support my function. And if you translate that into a movement class where you are there strictly for function and you're into repetition, that's beautiful. You get to be embodied and not in your brain and thinking about your daily life, but it might not be actually supporting your function. It could be doing the opposite. So it's absolutely helpful for us to know that as practitioners and then guide the people that we're in service to in an equal balance of both. Equal balance of both. We just did the math. You guys are all nodding and you're like, yeah, I get that. Right. So how do we message that? And are you messaging that? And are you teaching in that way? Are you giving equal parts of repetition and neuroplasticity so that they can have the pattern and they don't have to think about it every time, while also optimizing the pattern that you've given them and then checking patterns that they came with, slowing it down and optimizing that, and then giving them time to repeat that. It's literally the first touchstone in the method that we spend a whole semester on in the mastery program because it's that important. And you guys are hearing it. Like you're like, yeah, I get it. Right. So we get to be that for the people that we're in service to, whether you're a manual practitioner or a movement practitioner. If you're a manual practitioner and your people are coming to you, oh, I got this. Hold all my tension in my neck. Oh, my shoulders are always tight. Oh, my what do people say? My hip flexors, and they point to the backside of their bum, right? It's so cute. They're not really clear what the anatomy is, but they're trying to get the message across that something's off. When they say my hip flexors, they're literally subconsciously trying to tell you a joint action is off. But they don't know the joint action or the muscles that do it. Some of us don't either, by the way. That's why we're here. So your clients, when you're a manual practitioner, are coming to you telling you there's something off in my movement. Could you please help me? But they don't know the help that they need. And so we get to know that even as manual practitioners. Again, that's the line that I sort of ride here in our bodywork land. Typically it's movement practitioners on one side of the room and manual and movement practitioners are usually segregated in that way, and I don't think that we need to do that. I think it's actually a deficit to both when we segregate. So that's the line that we're drawing here, and this is the reason why. This is landing for you guys, yeah? Yeah. How about you guys who are here live? Is this landing for you? I see the numbers are creeping up, but I can't see any names or faces, of course. So I don't want to keep talking unless it's landing. But I do want to keep talking because I have more to share. We are going to talk shoulders today, as I mentioned. And I just thought since our backstage share, and there were some questions on the quizzes that both Debbie and Eileen brought up, were you guys willing to start there? Since it's a bit of knowledge that we all could already start with. I know Lori and Anna already have it too, having been through the mastery track. And then Gary and Mary will get you super caught up real quick. Like, do you want to tell us what those quiz questions were? The shoulder action. So when we say shoulder action, we always mean joint action. You guys know all your shoulder joint actions? If not, Inspired Beyond Anatomy is the place to go for that. We also do it again in muscles and movement, but you do want to know your joint actions. You want to know your joint actions, how to spot them. When does your client use them? For example, you're looking up the quiz questions, Eileen and Debbie. I'm just going to gap fill here. Debbie, if you know the question, can you come off mute, Debbie, while you're driving or no? No, probably don't do that. Eileen, are you looking for the questions or should I keep filling? You're
The
looking.
question,
Go ahead, Debbie.
Oh,
All ears.
the one issue that was stumping me was when the scapula, it was something about how the movement was presented with the scapula, and I can't think of the exact way that it was phrased. And that was stumping me. When we're looking at the shoulder, we know the scapula is part of that. It's the other side, right?
Yep.
And I don't know, it's just, it wasn't, not yet, it's not fixed in my brain how that, the other side is working.
Yeah, you'll get it.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so other side, want to just qualify that. So when we think about the scapula has muscles that move it on its own as a bone, because muscles move bone. The end of the scapula is the socket that the ball head of the humerus sits in, which makes up the glenohumeral joint. 360 joint action here. Different than the joint action here. You need to know that because muscles move bone. So everywhere there's movement, there's a muscle that's doing it. There's not just one muscle though. We know reciprocal inhibition. It's the muscle that does the job. It's the muscle that allows the job. It's all the guys that help. And it's also the stabilization and alignment of that joint that's mandatory to prevent injury during the movement. All of that is why you want to know your joint actions, because if you don't know the joint action, you don't know what muscle you're looking at and what the muscle's supposed to do. And most of the time, when it comes to the shoulder, there's more than one joint action happening at a time. And we don't call the scapula movement a joint action per se, but classify it the same way because it's scapular movement, but there's no joint on the scapula. The scapula can move on its own, but every time the scapula moves, you get to already remember that it's absolutely affecting the glenohumeral joint because it's half of that. How could it not? So the shoulders get a little complicated, right? There's like a whole lot to consider all at the same time. I think I've shared this with you guys. I was daunted by the shoulders for a while, like a couple years into my practice. I was like, oh God, please don't bring me a shoulder injury. Oh, they brought me a shoulder injury. Ah. And then I had to like get myself out of my own way and start teaching it and really going after it and really learning it and getting all the anatomy and remembering who moves what and how they work together and then working clinically on it and then getting results. And then I could teach effective workshops. And now I'm not daunted. Now I'm like, it's cool. We got this. But it was a journey. And I'm sharing that with you openly because you get to take the journey. If you want to work shoulders, you got to take the journey, babes. Like give yourselves a chance so that you can know all the moving parts, literally the moving parts. And then, of course, there's other movement here that happens at the clavicle. I was doing my exercises yesterday for my own rehab, and my clavicle kept clicking in two different places, one on the way up, one on the way down. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to tell my practitioners that. Heads up, because I am one of the case studies that they're working on. So yeah, you get to like, what is moving the clavicle? Why is the clavicle moving right now? Is it supposed to? And why is it clicking? What muscle's not letting go to allow that click to happen? Because movement shouldn't happen with a click. These are the questions you want to ask yourself. The only way you can answer that question is by your anatomy. That's why we spend so much time on the anatomy. When it's going wrong, what are the parts that are involved? And then you just take yourself right back in, learn the anatomy of the shoulder, and then take yourself right back out and figure out what the answers to that question are. Eileen, did you find it yet? I totally put you on the spot. I could have given you a little heads up, but I thought you were already here with your quiz questions, but it was Debbie that didn't get the answers yet. You got them?
Well, one of them was just what part of the scapula visually provides the most information about its action. And
Oh,
I look at the inferior angle, or so I thought, but that wasn't correct. And then I had to go through that to see. I know where I can see information, but I was confusing just the wording, I think.
oh, okay. So if you're looking at someone, a client in front of you, and they have skin over their muscles, and preferably if they're standing in front of you, also clothing on, hello, what are you actually seeing move when they move their shoulders? What do you visually have access to? The reason the reason the answer to that question supports you in getting to that answer is so that you can start zoning your eyes in on what you should be looking at, right? Remember the days when we used to do visual assessment and it would feel like someone would move their arms up overhead and your eyeballs would just go in a million different directions. You're like, oh God, what just happened here? If you were trying to look at the anatomy, does anybody remember that? I remember that feeling in my body in my visual assessment training as well. What we want to do is like train our eyes on what to look for and let the rest of it be the whipped cream and cherry on the sundae and know that you're actually spotting a little tiny spot on the side of the sundae dish that tells you the flavor of the ice cream underneath it. That's what you want to focus on. You don't want to keep getting distracted by the fluff. There's place for that, but not if you're looking for the genesis. If you're looking for the genesis, you want to know exactly what you should look for and train your eyes to go there because movement happens fast. You don't have time to calculate all the things that are moving with your eyeballs. You just don't. So you got to be able to train yourself to hone in. That's why the answer to that question is valuable for you guys. Okay, is there another question, Eileen? You and Debbie said there were two questions.
The other one I had was shoulder action refers to movement. And then the options were in glenohumeral joint, where the humerus moves, when scapula moves, or all the above. And so the shoulder action, so I had to really stop and focus and think about it. And yeah, that was one of the two that really got me.
There it is. That right up is what we just talked about on what is the joint action? What is actually moving? So that then I can focus on the muscles that are doing that actual movement. When you're navigating dysfunction and or pain, doesn't have to come with pain though, but when you're navigating dysfunction, something that's supposed to be moving a certain way isn't. The only way to make sense of what that is to know what is supposed to be moving. So you got to know what's the joint action, what's the movement that's meant to happen when that joint action happens, what muscles do that movement, and then be able to spot it if it isn't. And then, of course, what do you do about it? Yeah, great. Okay, so I'm happy that you guys are exploring those questions. Okay, let's talk about shoulder flexion. Okay, joint action, shoulder flexion. When in someone's daily life would they do shoulder flexion? To do what activity?
Brush their hair, get in the cabinets,
Yep, overhead. And it
overhead.
doesn't, yep, and it doesn't have to be both arms up at the same time, like in yoga, inhale, arms up, right? Doesn't have to be that. And it doesn't have to be something overhead. You just said it, Debbie, brushing your hair. Everybody, I think, brushes their hair, unless they're sporting a Mr. Clean, right? Everybody's arm moves up, their shoulder flexes to brush their hair and brush their teeth, and also reach for their keyboard. Sitting at a computer, that's shoulder flexion. So for those of us who aren't movement providers, your clients are still doing those activities. Are they doing them the way that joint is designed to do it? Meaning, is the main guy doing the movement? Is the antagonist allowing it? Are the synergists on board? And is the body aligned and stable while that's happening? So we were talking about one of our repatterning, one of our shots method patterns backstage before we got on to Tuesday training today. And how you stabilize the axial skeleton so that the limbs, upper and lower, can move effectively and be pain-free is real. And you, Debbie and Eileen, were sharing that your, client success stories by just stabilizing the axial skeleton provided pain-free movement in those joints. So we got to know where it comes from. We talked about that last week here on Tuesday training, that I showed you 3 different types of shoulder pain that is not coming from the shoulder joint. We need to be able to know where that is and where to look and what's needed. It's rare. The thing's rarely the thing, guys. That's true for body work and also in like personality triggers. You're not really triggered by what you're triggered, what you think you're upset about. You're just not. Same thing with the body. It's not really upset about what it says it's upset about. It's just not. Okay. So shoulder flexion happens in daily life. Shoulder flexion also happens when folks are working out. So in yoga or in personal training or in bar class or in Pilates, I did almost all of that this weekend. And I kept calling out every time my shoulders were in flexion. Every time. So that's a good practice, even as a manual practitioner. When you're moving your body, call out the joint actions that you're doing. And then immediately call out what muscle is supposed to be doing that job. And is it? What I was noticing every time I was doing shoulder flexion is every time my shoulders were in flexion, they were doing them in pairs, and my shoulders were not level. So it almost didn't matter what muscle is supposed to do the job because it can't do the job if my structure is not balanced. We talked about that in maximizing the lever system. That's that masterclass we took together here. So what I was focused on is what's causing that misalignment, and then can I get the muscles to engage? Also, remember a few minutes ago, I just told you one of my clavicle was clicking. Yeah, my shoulders aren't level. You as a manual practitioner could go after, if I had pain in my shoulder, you could go after it with every type of fancy device you have, and your magic hands and your deep thumbs and your all the other things that all of our clients and patients love to call us, and it would never have solved it. What solves it is, what is the joint action? What's doing that joint action? And is my structure aligned to be able to do that joint action in the first place? That's the solution. Okay, so back to, we're aligned. Okay, everybody's working. We're not in an injury state. And we are doing a arms out in front of us. So arms out in front of us, hands out directly out in front of us position. What's the joint action?
Flexion.
Shoulder flexion.
Beautiful. Everything's working, everything's aligned. What's the main muscle that does that job?
Anterior delt.
Anterior deltoid. Yes. What is the secondary muscle that does that job?
Mm, pec major.
The clavicular head of I was tongue my tie on that one. The clavicular head of pec major. Now, why is that important to know? Why is it important to know that it's anterior deltoid and part of pec major doing shoulder flexion? Why is that important? As a manual or movement provider, why does it matter to you to know that?
Because you want to know if they're
So
doing
there's
it.
not
If there were,
Because why?
compensatory issues.
If there's compensatory issues, are they actually using those muscles? Can you see them moving in the mirror? Because they're phasic. You should see them moving in the mirror. Does your client feel equal on both sides? Do they feel fired up on both sides? If I'm in shoulder flexion, have I touched my anterior deltoid on both sides to see if they both feel like they're fired up equally? Have we done these things, right? Like how you prepare someone for safe movement is by checking the muscles that are doing the movement. You can do that as a manual or movement provider. And absolutely before you bear weight. Absolutely before you bear weight. Now, what's the antagonist to shoulder flexion? What are the muscles that allow it to happen? So we said the ones that do it, but we know that the lever system is important. So there's got to be muscles on the other side that allow shoulder flexion to happen. What are those muscles?
Rear delt,
Say it again, Debbie.
rear delt,
Rear delts. Okay, what else?
Lat Dorsi, if we're talking about, the opposite of flexion is extension. So what are the muscles that do extension? That's where I go with it.
Bingo.
Yeah.
In fact, that's how I do it too. Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
What are the muscles that do the opposite joint action? How do you know that? You got to know the joint action. So what are the muscles that do extension of the shoulder? Whatever muscles primarily do a joint action are the ones that primarily need to allow its opposite, because that's how that muscle is lengthening on its opposite joint action. Super important to know, right? So if we just did shoulder flexion, just arms out in front of us, we're not even bearing weight. We don't have weights in our hands. We're not doing bicep curls. We're not pushing dumbbells. We're not doing anything yet. We're just in shoulder flexion, and we already have identified how to determine if the prime mover is doing it. How many of you believe that there is a percentage of people who have lat dorsi restrictions?
For sure.
Right, exactly. So many for a million reasons. We've talked about it. You don't have to be a swimmer. Like for a million reasons, we've talked about lat dorsi. So if I'm just going to take my hand up to my head to brush my hair every day, and I don't have full use of both lat dorsi, both posterior deltoid, both anterior deltoid, and both pec major, wouldn't I already be creating a compensatory pattern just on my own before I ever came to work out? Yeah. So what's the workout going to do? Is it going to fix it or is it going to exacerbate the imbalance?
exacerbate.
There we go. And then we get uncomfortable and then we go to get a massage because our shoulders are tight. Okay. So this is the meaning behind facilitating movement and using your anatomy to do that. Yeah, you could do that with every daily activity, which is what I recommend for all of us on both sides of the manual movement lane. What's the daily activity? And what is the joint action done in that daily activity? What's the muscle that does that joint action? How do I check to see if he's doing it? What's the muscle that allows that joint action? How do I check to see if he's doing it? And then how do I see it with my own eyes so that I can zero in and spot it and not spend my time looking at someone's, I don't know, belt buckle when what I really want to do is take care of their shoulder pain. Eileen?
I just want to celebrate one on that one because a client came up this week and said, "Oh, my knee." My response was, "Gina, how do you go up your stairs?"
Yay!
And she went, "What?" And I said, "Show me how you walk up the stairs." And and I said, "What do you think is happening in this joint?" We went through this whole explanation and she went, "Oh, my knee." And I said, "Yeah." She came back today to class and she was like, "I have been watching how I go up and down the stairs. fascinating. And I have no more knee pain, but I'm really noticing that I do not use the muscles for what they intended for. And it was just such a great moment. So I had to just.
That's so good, Eileen. That's so good. That's the change we make. It gets to be easy for us and them and profound in the process. Yes. Shots method. Lori, were you going to add something? You were off mute. Congratulations, Eileen. I love it. So good.
No, I was celebrating, but I wanted to be off mute, or I wanted to be on mute to celebrate, so I didn't distract, but I just distracted by saying all of that. So
Wait, what? Were you coming on to celebrate? What's happening right now?
I was celebrating Eileen and I was like snapping and woo, Eileen. And I didn't want to like do it on verbally while she was sharing to distract. And this whole conversation just distracted us.
Love it. So good. Did you have anything to add about movement?
Oh.
No? Okay.
No, I was just in the celebration.
Okay, good. Well, celebrate. I love a good party too. I totally get it. We love you celebrating. Yeah, Eileen, your wins this week are stellar. Stellar. So good. Yeah, we have 11 more months. There's like 1 month in. It's so good. Okay, amazing. All right, my friends. So my intention for this month, again, is what we're up to right now, facilitating movement and the significance around that. Not to make you a better movement practitioner, but why not? Not to convert you into being a movement practitioner from a manual practitioner. You could do other worse things with your time, but you don't need to become a movement practitioner. But understanding the body's movement and how it leads to discomfort in both manual and movement environments is the takeaway. And we both get to both lanes get to dive a little bit deeper and knock it off so that our people can be pain-free and strong and vital and moving through the world, creating what they want to create. So that's what we're here for. All right, I'm going to open it up now. I know I've talked for more stuff today, but I'm going to open it up now for questions. You guys have any questions that are probing? And for you guys on YouTube as well, if you have questions, please post them in the chat. Can I answer any questions for you today on facilitating movement? Anna, coming in. I know your body language, girl. I was with you for a long time. I read you.
Oh my God, you kill me.
We're the same. I see you fully.
Yeah, that's yes. So you may remember last week I had a client who had a shoulder issue, and one shoulder is higher than the other. And I tooled it right back. I saw her again, and I tooled it right back to her lat dorsi.
Okay.
It just anyway. So I released her, identified that it was definitely her lat dorsi. I had her, well, it doesn't matter how I did it, but released it and then tried to start to strengthen it. And in doing that, it triggered her sciatica in a big way. So she wasn't able to sit or stand.
Okay.
So, knowing where the aponeurosis of the lat dorsi and the amount of territory that it covers and where the sciatic nerve comes out. And I knew that she has had tons and tons, years and years of episodes with her sciatic nerve. I guess what I did was maybe release something that was holding that sciatic nerve stable. So I managed to calm the nerve down enough that she was able to walk out. But I got to tell you, I felt terrible.
Yeah,
I felt really, really terrible. So, I was left with, should I not have released that? What do you think you're doing? You think you know stuff.
Okay, so we're gonna put a kibosh right in that storyline because that doesn't serve you. Thanks for sharing. You're welcome, Simon. I'm glad that you're here. Anna, yes or no? Did she have spine measurements?
She did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so rather than targeting a muscle like a symptom, you get to clear the measurements. So for those of you, Anna, we're talking shots method right now, so just bear with us for a second. You always get to clear the measurements first before you target a muscle that is probable cause or in an anti-algic position. Clearing a muscle that's tight is like symptom smacking. We don't do that. And that's just the gap in your treatment plan. So notice that when we don't follow the method, I'm just coming in hot, babe, and I love you big. Notice when we don't follow the method, we set ourselves up to fail so we can be right about our inadequacy, and that doesn't serve you. You didn't do anything wrong, you just weren't conclusive in what you did do. So you get to be more thorough in your treatment plan. I'm happy to talk about that with you from a shots method perspective offline if you want to do that.
I thought I was brilliant taking it down to the lat Dorsi.
Well, you were brilliant by understanding a muscle that was at play in an either compensatory or anti-algic position, but what you were incomplete with is what you came here to train for, which is how to use the method to solve it.
Right.
You didn't clear the measurements, which is a huge hub, an entire touchstone of the method. Then you were just like every other massage therapist rubbing out a muscle that's tight. And that's, we've all said doesn't work.
Yeah.
I was that massage therapist, just like some of us here. It's not a dig. We just know it doesn't work for orthopedic restrictions. It just doesn't. It's not the whole picture. The method is, and you didn't use the method. You went after a muscle and you rubbed it or stretched it or PNF'd it or whatever you did to it. The muscles don't get upset by themselves. They get upset in context of something else. And that's what we learned to do in this method. The context was what was missing, babe.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. All right. I'm glad you measured her though. That was an improvement from last week where you
Yes,
didn't
it was.
came in here without measurements. I had to take a chill pill after training, man. I almost lost my cookies. So I'm glad that you measured her. Well done. Okay, my babes. It's been so fun to talk shop with you. We have a hot month coming ahead. Another reminder, our email invitation is going out for next level training. Maybe this is for you, Anna. I don't know. You decide. Our email is going out for next level training in the next couple of hours. It's first come. I'm not pressuring you. I'm just being honest about the schedule and what I have available. If this is what's going to work for you in the next 60 days, please join me. I would love to take you to the next level. I don't know that I'll have time to do that come fall, just given our mastery schedule and everything else, but I'm happy to do it while we're free in the summer. In the heat of the summer, we might as well hot seat it. Okay, my friends, I will look forward to seeing you all again here next Tuesday for more Tuesday training. If there was value in this video and you're on YouTube, I would love it if you would thumbs up it and just let me know that this landed for you guys too. The conversation was a little quiet today. I want to make sure that those of you who are watching us live on YouTube, there was value for you here as well as those of us who are here in the hot seat. Okay, my friends, I'll see you guys next week. Bye for now.